what we're finding out in schools across North America and in other parts of the world is that mistreatment in all the forms that it takes is more common than we would like to think is true. It's not always physical. Sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's verbal. Researchers like Pepler and Craig have found in researching this that it happens a frequency about 1 every 4 boys or girls in a typical classroom reports having been dealt with by someone who's stronger than them in a way that was unfair and it was deliberate. As a matter of fact, that has become a standardized definition, whether it's in Halifax or where I am in South Florida. What we see bullying is, it's different than just what we might consider mean treatment. It's repeated, there's an intention to it, it's designed to inflict harm, and there's a power inequity between people. I mean, all of us, let's just face it, you know, it's virtually impossible to live in a social world without occasionally getting into conflicts, and sometimes between friends even, right? They get to be physical sometimes. But it's different between friends. They don't happen all the time. As our slide says, it's accidental many times. People become angry, they say things, they regret them, the relationship gets back on track. People say, I'm sorry. That's not what happens with bullying. Because bullying isn't about the explosions that get healed between people. It's about deliberate power imbalance, where some of us, regardless of age, by the way, bullying isn't just a kid phenomenon. Verbal abuse happens at a startling rate in a lot of domestic situations. Hetty and I work with people of all ages and have people come up to us afterwards and say, we're so thankful that you talked about that because I felt like I was the only one. Bullying is about power imbalance. It's deliberate, it's designed to keep one person on top of another one. When it happens in school, what we found is that it doesn't take long to create damage. Wendy Craig found that the average incident of bullying is only about 30 seconds long. But the good news about this is that if there's intervention from a bystander who cares about the people involved, it drastically shortens the time of the incident. It makes people feel better. As a matter of fact, it reduces it by 2/3. So the incident is shrunk to about 10 seconds. And the end of it is much different than if the person had not intervened. The thing about it is, and we work with young people too, who are our eyes and ears on campuses, because kids tell us all the time that things are most likely to happen in unprotected places on non-academic time. In our area, in South Florida, that would be bus stops in the morning. I ask students, how often is there a grown-up with you? In earlier grades, sometimes there are, but a lot of times they're not. Student restrooms, hallways, cafeterias, locker rooms, athletic fields, and now it's spread to the internet. A lot of times things are said to people through text messaging. Sometimes it happens, people are very good with technology. And as you might know, there's incidents that happened in the States where people ended up committing suicide because of false messages that were put on the internet and broadcast to a whole lot of people. So I guess our technology doesn't protect us from unkind hearts. If there's a will to hurt someone, people will find a way.
The Doctors Pepler and Craig have done a lot of research. In fact, they're considered to be Canada's leading researchers in the field of bullying. And they held a conference a few years ago, and Dr. Dan Olwes was the keynote speaker. He is a Norwegian researcher who's been working on bullying research since the 1960s, and he's considered to be the world's leading expert in this field. So, although only 250 people registered for the conference, about 500 people flooded in the room to come and hear Dr. Olwes speak, because everybody came looking for the answer. We all thought, he knows the answer. I was in the audience myself as well. And we listened and listened and listened. It was a very long presentation. and we were wondering, he's going to get to it, I know it's coming, and to almost at the very end, his conclusion was that the only solution to bullying and other forms of victimization is to create a school climate in which it is considered to be unacceptable by everyone. There were a lot of disappointed people in the audience because they were hoping that they could buy a book or a kit or a survey or posters or a video or something that they could go quickly and use in their school. But to change the climate is not something that happens overnight, nor does it happen because we wish for it. It happens over time, extended time. So I think a lot of people left feeling a bit discouraged. There are some key components to working on the climate of a school. Policies should be school-wide so that the children know that behavior that is acceptable and tolerable in this classroom is also acceptable here and vice versa, so that they're not getting mixed messages from different parts of the school. Some of the hot spots can be identified by the students, and there should be increased supervision. Focus on social skills in some way. There's not one set recipe or curriculum or set of lessons that works everywhere. What we might use in a school in Northern Ireland might not work in the village in Sierra Leone where we were working, or at Oxford School. So every school has to determine which social skill program is best suited to the community of learners within the school. The behavioral norms should be clear and consistent and fair. And I know that they are in this school, but that's not always the case. And again, the whole village. Obviously, you are interested, but very often the local law enforcement people get involved, and other community members all get involved. An example, 2 days ago, I'm old and my children are grown up, but there's a community school where we live in Granville Ferry, and they were having a home and school meeting, and I was invited to come, and I ended up being elected as a co-chair of the home and school. And my son is 30 years old, and I don't teach there, I'm retired. However, it's my village, and so I want to be involved and I want to help out.